Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. So my speech today, I have three things I want to talk about. First of all, and at this point, they're going to be kind of abstract concepts to you. First of all, help! I am trapped inside the computer. Number two, newspaper. And number three is tree sap. So it will become clear what this actually means. First of all, help, I am trapped inside the computer. So I am a 30-year-old software developer. I grew up in Vancouver. And I've had the interest in computers since a very young age. So when I was 6 or so, in 1987, my uncle, who was a technology guy, he gave our family an Apple computer. I don't know if you're familiar with Apple's history, but in 1984, that's when they came out with the Apple, the famous commercial for the Macintosh. You might have seen that. It's like one of the best commercials of all time. In 1987, I got this computer. It was actually a really old computer. It was an Apple II Plus. So it did not have any fancy graphics. It was just a little terminal with only capital letters and a green screen that kind of flickered, a very fat keyboard with like clunky keys. I loved this thing. And it didn't have very many programs at all. So there was one program, you could just hit the space bar to fire the gun at these space aliens. Anyway, I love this thing. I like using it all the time. My dad said, you can't use this unless you practice your piano. So I had to do both my piano and then it was driven to use the computer. Anyway, this computer was so great. It had a programming language on it called BASIC. BASIC was like really basic. It had the idea of every program had a line, it had a bunch of lines in it. Line was just like a command or statement. Every line had a number. So I came up with this program. I was 6 years old, 7 years old, came up with this program. It had 2 lines, and I consider it to be artificial intelligence. And you can imagine it has to do with what I said about being trapped inside the computer. I hope you understand. BASIC is probably understandable by everyone here. Even if you're not in computers, you can probably understand this program. Line 100 was print, help, I am trapped inside the computer. And line 200 was go to line 100. So I turned off all the lights, the green flickering screen, I hit the enter key, and suddenly the screen was filled with these words. Help, I'm trapped inside the computer. It just kept flickering and filled the whole screen. So that was my first program. Next thing I'm talking about is 5 years later. I was in grade 6. It's a newspaper. So what do I have to do with newspapers? Well, our computer lab in Pinewood Elementary had a computer lab and had all these a bit newer computers. They could do lowercase and uppercase letters. It was amazing. They're still black and white. They were just like a green kind of color screen. It had the ability to do some kind of graphics, and it had a program that lets you put together words and then insert images. So I liked this. I thought this is a really big potential. It had images that were appropriate for young kids. There was a picture of a pig, there was a wolf, maybe there was like a house. Anyways, it was nice. So I thought I'm going to I spent a lot of time, I realized my parents would allow me to go to this computer lab after school and hang out with my friend. So what did I do? I thought I'm going to make a little business out of this. And I created a newspaper called the Peters Inquirer. My last name is Peters. And I thought I'm going to make a newspaper, I'm going to try to sell it to teachers. And of course my parents are going to buy it. So my first article was called Pigs Pig Out. I used one of the amazing clip arts of Pig, and I wrote a story about how the pigs are going to, pig out on the town. It was great. So I produced maybe about 5 editions. I number the volume 1, volume 2. So that was my entrepreneur, but I learned an important lesson about business. I later went on to take a degree in computer science and business at SFU. But I learned my first business lesson with the Peters Inquirer. And I was in the schoolyard, in the backyard of the school, in recess time. I had my newspapers, I was trying to sell them, and no one wanted to buy it. Actually, they were actually manufactured by the government of British Columbia. Because my dad worked at the Ministry of Environment, and he used the government's photocopier to produce my paper. And they even have an automatic stapler, which I loved. Anyways, there was this bully on the schoolyard who was the only guy interested in my newspaper. He had always tormented me by pulling my ears. I had the ears operation, I put them in at one point. But in grade 1 they were sticking out a lot, so he was bothering me. Anyway, he wanted to buy the paper, so I gave him the paper and he gave me a coin. I was selling it for 25 cents. I thought, this is wonderful. And he seemed happy. He ran away really fast, and I looked at my hand and it was only a nickel. So that was my first business lesson, that you have to be careful, people are gonna try to rip you off. So the last thing is about tree sap. And I actually ended up 5 years ago sort of at a point in my career when I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And there's a company with the name SAP. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. They have around 57,000 employees around the world. And they make around 11 or 13 billion dollars in revenue a year. I thought, this is a cool place. I like working at big companies. I like doing things, big things. So I got a job at SAP. Luckily, a friend I knew worked there. And I've been working there for 5 years, doing mostly computer programming, but also some videography, a little bit of writing for documents and stuff. I'm still keeping up my writing. Life is pretty good, I must say. I'm really happy to be in Toastmasters. It's been wonderful to join. I joined the club at SAP, and now I'm very happy to be part of Club 59. It's been a wonderful experience, and my goal right now, even though I have talents in computers, I have talents, thank you.